Is the Rebel Scum podcast. Available in video on YouTube and audio wherever you listen to your podcasts. Every week, Brock and James talk the latest rumors, news, and theories from a galaxy far, far away. Support us on Patreon for exclusive offers and join the Star Wars discussion. Patreon.com/RebelScumPodcast. Here are your hosts, Brock and James.
Scum. Rebel Scum.
Rebel Scum. Hello, James. This is the Rebel Scum podcast. I'm Brock. As I just said, this is James. You're muted. You're still muted.
James Solo. I coughed during the opening.
Yeah.
I had to mute my mic. So
Hey, respect for that. Like, people cough all the time, and like, you need to have the etiquette on a Zoom, StreamYard, Teams.
Yeah,
call.
you don't need to hear people cough. Radio has the cough button.
Yeah, exactly. James, did you watch the new episode of Andor? 10 days ago?
Absolutely did watch the new episode of Andor, and I gotta tell you, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Let's get that out of the way. We'll talk about that in a bit. But it brought me back to my original thought on this show, Brock, and that is this is a binge watching show more than anything else. Like, drop this one. Last week I was like, oh, this is an episode. This week felt like it was the bridge to get us to where we need to go, which is fine. It's not a knock on it. It feels like, oh, okay, we're back to the arcs now. And but I really did enjoy it. It was the first time though all season for me that when it ended, I go, oh, it's done. That was the first time I had that kind of feeling.
Really?
Yeah, it kind of when it ended. I watch it with the baby, so it's like I'm not fully like. There's some things I'm like, oh, I wish I heard this again. But yeah, to me, it just felt like it ended. But that being said, I really enjoyed it. I loved. I just can't wait to see. Like, I still don't know where it's going. I know where it's going, but I don't know how it. I don't know how it's gonna get there or how it's going to be when we get there.
Yeah, this is like episode 11, right?
Yeah.
My freaking dog came in and opened the door.
Damn.
This is episode 11. There's one more episode, which bums me out because I could watch this show for 24 episodes.
Oh, we don't get any more Star Wars until the February with the Mando.
When is Bad Batch coming out?
I don't know. It was supposed to come out like 6 years ago. It's just like I think they forgot to animate it, and they're just they're just gonna keep stalling. No, it's coming. We swear. Like, oh my god, we forgot Bad Batch.
Yeah, no, the episode was great, and it's just like I should have texted this to you when I was watching it. I was like, I finally realized, like, the scene where we see Vel for the first time after Andari, that she's talking to Clea, and then it's just like I was like Lois Laned on it, where like Clea would let her hair down, and I was like, who is that? Who is that person? And I'm like, then they showed it in the previously on Andor. I was like, oh, right. I'm like, it's that simple. You put your hair down, and people are like, where did you go?
Superman technique.
I love that. I like, but yeah, like, I mean, we get Saw Gerrera again in this episode. We got two tubes, and there's nothing more satisfying than seeing an X-wing, just an X-wing, and it's like the black ones. I like, I know like the X-wings probably they can just like, well, we just color wherever we want. And I'm like, just like, yeah, that's so cool. Because I think like Rebels really did a point that like this is how we got this ship and this is how we got that ship, and they never did X-wing. So I guess like X-wings are just around. But yeah, I don't even know where to start. What stood out for you? What was the biggest, like the most exciting part of this episode, do you think?
I think I think for me it was Luthen and Saw, I think, was my favorite part, where you kind of see
Mhm.
like Saw isn't really at the level that we know Saw in Rogue One yet, right? He's
Right.
Luthen's like full blown.
Yeah.
Luthen's like the all the way there, but Saw is not. And I just love Luthen is like, just listen, we have to go a little bit too extreme
Yeah.
to get what we need. But I also Andor's mom is I can't stop thinking about what's really going on there, because I don't buy that she's dead, and maybe I'm naive for thinking that.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
just like, because I just kind of started like, it's all sketchy right off the bat, and like, oh no, she's dead. And we never see her body, and why? And I said this to Fantastic, like, why would you get Fiona Shaw
Yeah.
if she's just gonna kind of show up and then be dead without even
Yeah.
like really acknowledging like
That's a really good point.
beforehand? And so it's like, I feel like there's something going on. It was called Daughter of Ferrix. She's there. My feeling at first is I'm like, oh, she's pretending to be dead. And then a part of me is like, well, what if the Empire has like kind of gotten a hold of her and they've faked her death to flush out Andor. And then another part of me is, what if it is Vel's girlfriend, wife, whatever, because she kind of approached her last episode. Like, what if she has something to do with it?
Yeah.
So I don't buy that she's dead. So those are the two things for me.
And it's amazing too, because it's like, even though we don't see her body, or she's like has like one last scene in this episode, there's still the like, emotional charge of it. And we're like, oh no, I mean, because how people react. Like for this episode, like B2 emo, like it's just like,
buddy,
how do you make a little like how can they constantly make these like set decoration make you like fall in love, like just like, maybe it's just because this one had, it's like an R2 unit, an astromech sort of droid. I don't think it's an astromech, but like that style, and usually they just beep and bop and whatever, and this one actually has a voice with a fun stutter, like, which is genius, because also it shows time, right? Because when they're in the past, like, he works fine, right? But um it was just like, in one episode you're just like, and I think that's genius, because that misdirects you completely. I think I had never thought about that. I don't know if they're gonna play it out in the next episode, but I could definitely see down the road in season 2, you're like, I was never dead, or whatever.
There's one thing about this show,
that's
is
crazy.
It never goes the way I think it. Like, it goes the way I think it's gonna go, and then it's like, actually, like, they take me just as far as me being like, ha, I was right, and then like, actually, you were up until this point, which is the point that matters. So we'll see. I just that was my feeling on it. But then Andrew brought up a good point that, maybe we didn't see her, and I don't know if it was his or somebody else's, but the idea that we didn't see her die because we're seeing her die through the eyes of Andor, of Cassian, and he never saw her die, which I was like, that's a good point. But also, it's kind of, if that's the way they do it, it doesn't also really work, because we're seeing like her house, like the aftermaths of it, which Andor is certainly not seeing at all. As Brock, I don't know if it's Brock left or if I left. It's Brock has left the building. It is just me right now talking. I guess I'll go full screen so that everybody can see my beautiful face. Oh, that's a split screen. That's Brock's face. Let's remove him. But this is what I got from the episode, is that I feel like we are going. They like to like do the twists and turns, but not the typical Hollywood twist and turns necessarily. More like, what fits their story, how to navigate their story, and if their story is, to the right, like if we're going, in a straight line, and their story is ending in one way, they're gonna take every twist and turn to get to that ending. So it's still gonna have the same ending. They know where they're going, and that's one thing I really appreciate about this show, is that it feels calculated, right? Everything they do is calculated. They know where they're going with it. They know how they're going to get there, and they're not going to get there in a traditional way, and that's enjoyable. And that's why I don't think his mother at this point in time is dead. I mean, that's the other thing, though, is because I think that also makes me think that she is dead, and we're not going to go back to that. because that's the other way the show goes. Is I think it's going one way, and it's not. It's going to go the other. Mon Mothma, we had some bombs dropped about Mon Mothma last week, and this week we're seeing more. And it's like, what's going on with her family? Where's that taking us to go? There's so many questions on this that it's like their purpose. What they're doing better than like a mystery box, I would suggest, is that they're not posing questions for the mystery of it. They're posing questions for the story of it, and I think that's what's really working. Is we're like, what is happening here? And then you see like the Mon Mothma, like she trapped herself, which was great too. We learned that about her. She kind of trapped herself, and Andor kind of did the same. There's Mon Mothma and Andor are parallels of each other, and I really enjoy that aspect of the storytelling in this show. And this is a show that I think, and I've seen most of Boba Fett twice. Hey Dale, I've seen most of Book of Boba Fett twice, not all of it twice, and it hasn't been like a direct watch through of it. Mandalorian season 1, I did do that watch through of. Andor is 100% a show. I'm going to have to do a complete watch through view, like the whole thing as if it's a movie all at once. And that to that point, Obi-Wan Kenobi, I still feel like that could have been a movie. A long movie, a 3-part movie, whatever. Andor doesn't feel like it should have been a movie. It feels like it should have been a show, but I still think it's like the binge watching show, which I brought up a million times to that. I feel like it has more of like that Stranger Things kind of feel to it, that kind of vibe of one long story. I think the Lord of the Rings show would have worked better that way. And I do think Book of Boba Fett would have worked better that way as well, but they're also very, very different things back and forth as well. The fisherman guys in this episode, I believe Pete from Around the Galaxy kind of found them as concept art or something from Rogue One, or they had something to do with Rogue One. And that's kind of cool if that's where they use those designs from. But I got to bring up, we have Thanksgiving American. We did, in Canada, we did our Thanksgiving already. We have Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday. And on the Rebel Scum podcast, we like to have a lot of fun with Thanksgiving. We try to do as many shows as we can. In the morning at 10 a.m., you're going to get Brock and Andrew talking about Tales of the Jedi. Both of them really dig Tales of the Jedi. So you're going to have a conversation they'll have about that series, discussing it. We're going to get more. Were they satisfied? I don't know. So they're going to be doing that 10 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 in the afternoon on Thanksgiving Thursday, 1:30, and this is all Eastern time. 1:30, we have a roundtable where we're talking about the future of streaming Star Wars and how it's been, how it's going, Andor, Ahsoka, Acolyte, all that stuff, fun stuff. We're going to talk about that with Pete Fletzer from Around the Galaxy. So join us 1:30 p.m. for that. None of these shows are actually going to be live. They're taped. Some of them might have already been taped. But we'll have a live chat so you can be a part of it. And it's going to be a lot of fun that day. And then at night, at 8:30 at night, we're going to be live. This one will be live. We'll be live with episode 265 of the Rebel Scum podcast to have a lot of fun. A lot of fun talking the finale of Andor and possibly other things going on today. We're going to be getting Mandalorian season 3 trailer. Rumor is Christmas Day is coming. And on Christmas, we got a lot of other cool stuff coming on the channel as well. The 26th, Boxing Day, straight through until New Year's Eve, we're going to have shows. And then New Year's Day is our ranking Star Wars show. So if you are a Patreon and you have not submitted your rankings list, you got to get on that. Submit the ranking list for your top live action Star Wars films. There are 11 of them as of now. And the lists have been coming in and they are wild. And I'm still not sure if The Last Jedi is going to come in the top 5 or the bottom 2. I'm not saying that as just to say it to stir the pot or anything, but that I'm looking at the list come in, and that's where it says it's either top 5 or it is bottom of the barrel. So there's no middle ground except for Solo Star Wars story, or not so. Solo's low too. Vote Solo a little higher, everybody, because that movie gets no love, and I think it deserves a lot more love with that. And Willow's coming out from the writer of Solo, so we have that. Brock's trying to get on. I have mitts. Have you guys seen my Star Wars oven mitts? These are fantastic. They will get your turkey going on Turkey Day. Gobble gobble. But we got so much fun stuff going on with Oh, Emotional Evolution said the monkeys aren't working. Buzz, and then his keyboard or their keyboard was not working. Thanksgiving is our big day, but between Christmas and New Year's Day, we're gonna have a lot of fun stuff as well on the channel. So keep your eyes peeled. Give us a like, subscribe, whatever. We can ring that bell for notifications and all of that stuff because it is non-stop. And I gotta tell you, we're gonna get back to the Andor talk. We're gonna wait for Brock's technical difficulties to get him back on here to talk a little bit more about it, but. Mandalorian season 3 is coming. I've watched the trailer now a few times. I didn't get to see it when it first came up, but I've seen it a few more times, and I am really excited for the 3rd season. Man, Andor is probably on every level the best show that we've gotten, but Mandalorian is the most Star Wars show that we've gotten, and it's beyond fun. It's like it exceeded I think expectations. It's so much fun. And it's something that I don't even compare it to Andor necessarily, but I enjoy it to death. And then seeing the trailer, it brought me right back to it. They're digging really deep in the Mandalorian lore. And it's the funny thing with this is the stuff that when it came to like Clone Wars and Rebels, I was like moderately interested in that stuff. Like I was never over the moon about Mandalore or Mandalorians or any of that stuff. I was kind of like, this is fine. I want to get back to the Star Wars stuff, and now I'm all in a Mandalorian lore. I'm like, show me all this stuff that's going on. And the other thing with this show, Andor has as well, but the love and care and attention to detail that is brought into the show, and I think because of the volume, because we all know about the volume now, we don't appreciate and respect it as much anymore. But I think there is a lot of love and care and dedication, and they try to do their best with these shows, and they're trying to push the level of technology on it as well. And Andor, you can love Andor, but Andor is not. I mean, the Eye episode might, but like they're not really doing that, which Star Wars is known for. I was thinking about Avatar earlier too. I'm like, I wonder why George Lucas. We saw Brock and I. We went to go see the Phantom Menace 3D, and I heard Attack of the Clones 3D was phenomenal. And then I was thinking about Avatar, and because James Cameron and George Lucas, they're buddy. They did their interviews and stuff. I was thinking about Avatar. I'm like, I wonder why Lucas wasn't like, okay, now is the time to do 3 more Star Wars, because he had his idea for it, and I know he said he didn't want to take his time, and I know the prequels probably put a sour taste in his mouth, but I feel like with the advancement of 3D technology, what James Cameron was bringing to it, James Cameron very much, and think what you want about Avatar. It's not my favorite movie, but James Cameron very much did what George Lucas did in a lot of aspects with propelling the technology forward, right? Like they took it like Transformers. I want to say the 3rd Transformers movie, the last one I think was Shia LaBeouf. The opening sequence in 3D was some of the most phenomenal 3D I ever saw. Then you have Jackass 3D, some of the best 3D I ever saw there as well. And that's all because of Avatar. And I was thinking about it the other day with Avatar 2 coming out. It's like, I wonder if why George Lucas didn't stick with it and maybe do 3 Star Wars movies fully 3-dimensional. Now, by the time the his 3rd one would have come out, I think 3D really would have been done, and that could have been, maybe he foresaw that. And then again, maybe because of the prequels, the way they went and all that stuff, he just felt like it was not the right time. But we're gonna bring Brock back in.
Hey.
Brock's coming to us live.
It's my bathroom.
Brock's in the bathroom. I love that you've got like a commentator headset, like you're gonna do the pod racing play-by-play for us.
That's right.
Welcome back.
This is my usual one.
I just kind of talked about how what we're doing for Thanksgiving and then Christmas stuff, and then I'm looking forward to Mando season 3. I wanted to save our Andor talk for when you got back for your play-by-play appearance. Anyway, Andor. Do you know where this season is going?
No, you can hear me, right?
100%.
All right, cool. I don't know. I was just like, you just wowed me with the what if Marva's not actually dead? I'm like, oh, that's crazy. I don't think I don't think anyone knows. I mean, you saw that comment from the directors saying like next season isn't about this. It's going to be about just. It's not going to be about war. It's going to be about creating a group. It's like so. I think yeah, I think they are focused more on the characters rather than like the action. Even though there is a lot of action in this episode for sure. I mean, seeing what Luthen can do with the Fondor is like whoa. Like
Mhm.
there's so many articles on like Andor just rewrote how tractor beams work or whatever. Like I'm just like, oh no. I mean, if you have enough money, you could probably outdo anything. So
Yeah, I like that tractor beam scene.
yeah, like it's
I was like, how is he going to get out of this? That was my thing. Like, how are you going to get out of this? And of course, it's Star Wars, and you knew he was going to get out of it. But at the same time, I was like, well, maybe he won't because they have this way of taking you down roads you didn't think you were going to go. Like I did not expect Andor to get arrested after the first arc of the
yeah.
season. You know, like they're just like, oh, you're arrested, and it's like, okay, well, he'll be out of prison by the end of the next episode. No, he's going to be in prison for the rest of the season. He was like, oh, all right, fair enough.
What kind of crappy hotel doesn't notice a metal box like in the bathroom?
Well, he hid it up in the shower under like a. Well,
But
it
it's
was
like on the top. It's like and it's not like it's pretty exposed up there.
yeah. What I don't get is that was a hotel, right? Or see, I
Yeah.
wasn't really sure. It was okay. It's a hotel. It's a resort.
Yeah.
But was he still paying for that room? Like nobody should have been in that room. That was how I felt. I'm like, well, he's still paying for this, so nobody should be in there. This is rude. I thought it was rude.
I don't think he was paying for that room. I think it was just like nobody goes up. They're all short people and they can't see that high up. It's like your mom hiding the cookies on the top shelf. It's like, I can't find it. Actually, my wife does that to me all the time. The snacks are low because she is short and I can't see it from my vantage point. So like
Oh
that
my
happens
God.
all the time. So I can believe it. And like to start the episode too, we had these two alien characters that these fish like. What did you think about that? They were pretty interesting characters.
Wait, say that again. I lost you for a second.
The two fishermen character at the beginning of the
Oh,
episode,
right.
like that was nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I brought them up briefly while you were gone. I think Pete
Mm.
Fletcher from Around the Galaxy, he showed something that looked like they were concept or from something from Rogue One. At least one of them was like taken from a design from Rogue One. I thought they were kind of cool. I'm trying to still figure out why the Empire would allow them to be on that planet. But I thought it was cool. I like their net, like that net that they
Yeah.
caught them on. I don't understand the point of it, but I enjoyed it. I liked them. At first, I was like, oh, are we going to see more of the caretakers from
Yeah.
Octo? But they were a little bit scarier looking. I kind of dug them.
Yeah, no, and like the voices sounded so familiar, but I looked up in the credits and it was like, no, I don't know any of those voices, but yeah, because usually those kind of characters are like, here's our guest star, here's our
Yeah.
John Leguizamo, like, no, that was really cool, and it's like, I like how they're like, yeah, we'll help you, we understand what's going on,
Yeah.
so it's like, yeah, screw the Empire, but yeah, what else was kind of, oh, and now like. Mon Mothma's daughter is in like some weird cult or whatever.
Yeah. Mon Mothma's family
Yeah.
intrigues me greatly.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's something too. I'm like, I don't know where they're headed with this
hmm
or why they're headed with this. Because at first it's like, oh, her husband's like all in on the Empire. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, maybe he's a rebel, but doesn't want Mon Mothma to know. And then this episode with the daughter, but he didn't like what the daughter was doing. Like he wanted nothing to do with it. So I can't figure out where they're going with these characters. And I care. And that's like, it's like, I want to know where they're going with them because they are the two characters. There's two other characters that I don't know where they end up. They're not, because I think with Mon Mothma is the books were like, oh, she's sick. And then they kind of just like wrote her out of the books after Return of the Jedi, basically.
Mhm.
But if we're gonna forget all, like, let's just screw those things. Then we get to Return of the Jedi, the movie. Mon Mothma alone, she had that one scene. Like, it's not like she's a big deal in it. So her family could be at home cooking dinner or whatever for all we know. But now it's like, well, like, does she lose them? Do they split up? Like, is he is he in that room with her?
Yeah.
Her husband? Like, I don't know, and I really want to know.
Yeah.
And I saw this thing with Gilroy where he said they took a lot of the information from the show. They got a lot of the Coruscant stuff from the George Lucas show that was abandoned like 15 years ago. But he said the one thing that was fair game was Mon Mothma. He said there was nothing about Mon Mothma's family or anything. They could do whatever they wanted, and that's where they concocted these characters. And so they kind of have free reign to do what they want with them because there's no canon about where they were, and there's no canon about where they're going, so they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's like, no, it's like at some point you have to do stuff with certain characters, and it's like, yeah, like run with it. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example that they've done. I guess Boba Fett. Boba Fett's the exact same example where they're like characters that like people have been interested in, but we've never really done anything drastic with them. So it's like, I wish there was this amount of detail in Boba Fett's past as they do with Mon Mothma. Like, it would be interesting to see. Obviously, Daniel Logan's too old to be a child version of himself. Oh no, what am I saying? They were able to put young Boba Fett in the thing with old footage, which is like, it would have been nice to be like, how did Boba get from Camino to, the Imperial Star Destroyer, where they get hired to get Han Solo? Like, we've seen it in Rebels, but like, it would just be nice. It's like, why did he decide on? Obviously, he decided on that armor because that's what Jango wore. But like, why is it green? There's those little details like, why this? Where was your head at? So it's fun seeing this, and it's like, it's sad too, because it's like all she's trying to do is bring peace back to the galaxy, but she can't even have peace in her own house.
What's great about Andor is it's a show on Disney Plus and not a comic and not a book. It's like, it's a show that we can sit there and watch and discuss, and the vast majority of people are watching it as well, and they're seeing it because, as great as books and comics can be, it's such a niche audience that you're like, guess what I read, and people are like, who cares? Like, and with all due respect, like you put something in a book, most people are like, I don't care, that's not real. What happens in the movies or TV shows, that's where people's heads are at. And so I'm glad we're getting this in a movie, because I really wish we got that Lando. What was that book that came out? Lords of the Sith? No. Lords of the Sith?
About
Masters
what?
of the Sith? It came out this summer with Lando and Luke. Trying to find Oshi or something. It was like, it sounded cool. I'm like, oh, that's like that should be a show. And so it's a book. I'm like, well, 7 people are gonna read it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and now and what I hate too, and I like the idea of everything connecting, but it just doesn't work. Like people got mad at Filoni during Bad Batch because they changed Kanan's Order 66 story from the comic book. It's like, well, the comic book got canceled because nobody was reading the comic book. So I think like, it's just at some point they can handcuff themselves with this canon stuff, and I still feel like unless you see it on screen, and I'll include animation on screen as well, but as long as you see it on screen, I just feel like it's fair game to change it if you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Let that hate flow. Everyone's gonna get mad at me.
Or if you do that, then if you don't want to do that, then have a group of people that's in charge to make sure that everything flows. Like, you can, if you're gonna do this character, then you have to make sure it's this, and this, and then you're in this place. Yeah. So. Yeah,
it's tough to navigate all of that, and then there's so many books and comics coming out. And the thing that I think they're doing right is, and I haven't obviously read it, but the High Republic, where they can isolate it to books and comics, where you can have basically the same audience kind of play in that sandbox. Then you have the Acolyte, and I think the Acolyte's going to break free of some stuff and kind of do what it wants. And it's just going to, I think the Acolyte, just my opinion based on nothing, is the Acolyte's going to play in that time period, but not necessarily in the High Republic sandbox. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
yeah, it's like going to be like it takes place here, but all that stuff you read doesn't matter to this story. That's what I think.
I mean, and now they're the new phase of the High Republic is like 100 years into the past of what you've read in the first phase. It's kind of confusing. Like
Just
it's
to
like
confuse you
I'm
more.
sure it's good. Don't get me wrong, but it just seems like it's like reading Marvel comics where you reboot every like couple of years, so people have a number one to start with. It's like it's not a bad idea, but then call it something else. Don't call it High Republic, like, or do High Republic where you're in this period and then but go chronologically. Don't jump back. So like what's gonna happen? We finish this phase of High Republic and Acolyte comes out, which is 100 years in the future of what the original phase was. Like I'm game to read and watch all this stuff, but it's just like it seems a little confusing. I don't know.
Yeah, when you told me that, I didn't understand it. I felt like Lucas did it for a reason. Now I think a lot of times it's just gimmicky, right? Or they're like, oh, we could go back and do this, and then that's But I do think what they're doing is smart, keeping it all isolated in books and comics because
absolutely.
Like, I put everything else in the movies and TV shows, and then that stuff make it fun right there. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I have no issue with that. You want to go to the odds?
Let's do it.
Hold on. Now we'll do it.
Do it.
An asteroid field is approximately 3,720 to 1.
Never tell me the odds.
Never tell
Damn
me
it,
the
Chewie.
odds. Brought to you by the wonderful people who support us through patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast. If you like what we do, head on down to patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast and support us in any way you like. And when you do that, you get some extra content. We are always trying to give more and more Star Wars to the best. And the wonderful people that support us are the following: Heidi Feder, executive producer, Barry Brophy, Dennis Allen, Randy Kenobi, Mary Kristen Aton, Jeff Wilson, Phil Staniforth, Rez, Scott T, Josh Bryce.
All right. Matt W., Frank Perkins, Neil Lowry, Cosmic Girl 02, Gleek Play 1, Disney Desi, Charlotte, Kayla Davis, Dale Erdman, Girls with Sabers and Nerds. It's a great list. Thank you all for your support. And this week, Brock, I told everybody Thanksgiving morning, you and Fantasia are going to be doing a Bright Suns show on Tales of the Jedi. I have not seen it yet. I think I probably will this week, though. I almost turned it on this morning, but instead I watched a Mickey Mouse cartoon. Don't ask questions. Thanks. Thank you, everybody, for your support. And then I think to Monday there's going to be a special Never Tell Me the Odds with Heidi. So that's going to be fun. Here we go. Never Tell Me the Odds. A former Jedi. Was Luthen a former Jedi, Brock? Was he Darth Maul?
I'm gonna go 100. I'm gonna go 0%. I don't want that to happen. I think he's an interesting character altogether. Obviously, there's more backstory that we don't know, but like, I don't want him to be a Jedi. It's just no, thank you.
I love that you almost said 100%.
Yeah.
By accident. I was like, holy crackers. I'm gonna go 31%. I don't think so. If this is not the show that would do that anyway. Mm-hmm. It would happen probably. Somebody else would get their hands on Luthen and be like, he was a Jedi.
Okay.
But I could see him. And I mentioned this to Andrew, and I could see him with a lightsaber. I don't know if he would use a lightsaber, but he's the character that would have one because of a shot. But I'm going to go 37% because I also don't think he was a former Jedi, and this isn't the show that really needs it. But, you always think, oh, no Jedi, and they're like, we're going to keep it grounded. But it's, at the end of the day, it is Star Wars. So I would say I wouldn't expect a Jedi to show up, but I wouldn't be surprised or disappointed if one showed up. That's what I would say to people. But I wouldn't expect it. Never Tell the Odds. We will see a lightsaber in the Andor finale. Will we see a lightsaber, whether just in the background, used or not, Brock? Will a lightsaber be somewhere visible in the finale of
Andor? The only way I could see it is if it's in Luthen's shop. I just don't. Or they go to Jeddah for some reason, which would be cool. But no, I'm gonna go 10% on this one.
I'm gonna go full Brock. I really don't see it happening the same with Luthen being a Jedi, but I'm also like, maybe not this season, but I feel like at some point we will get something. But I could be wrong. And this show, I know they're not focused on any of that, but I still feel like at some point, you're in Star Wars, you want to have fun with Star Wars. And I don't necessarily think you'll see the Force, but a lightsaber could be very possible. And our final odd, the greatest odd of all time, will Jar Jar Binks appear by the end of season 2 of Andor?
I'm gonna go 80%. Like, let's go
Wow.
to Naboo, see Naboo for like a second, and then there he is.
I really want this to happen. I'm gonna go 53%. I'm still low on it happening.
Yeah.
I still feel like, I know like Wendig put him into Aftermath, and he was a clown street performer on Naboo and all that. And he was disgraced. But I still feel like there's a place for him in this, and I kind of still wish we saw him in Rogue One. Like, could you just imagine Rogue One if Bail Organa and Jar Jar Binks walked out together and he didn't have to say anything? Like, could you I just feel like that would have been a great moment. Yeah. And I think, maybe by the time Rogue One came out, what was that, 11 years after Sith? Maybe that was still not enough time. But now we're looking at, what are we at, 17 years after Revenge of the Sith now?
All right.
No, 17? Gosh, 17. I think, 20 plus years for them. I think we're at a time now where the fans kind of want the Jar Jar content. That's why we're getting the Black Series. That's why we're getting Ahmed Best hosting game shows. Mm-hmm. That's why we're getting all these things. I think that we're at a point now where they could probably bring him into the stuff. And what better show to bring Jar Jar in than a serious one like Andor? And again, he doesn't have to say anything. I just think it would be neat if he was there in some capacity.
Yeah, exactly.
Redemption for Jar Jar Binks is what it is. That is our Never Tell Me the Odds. Let us know what your odds are in the comments below. Brock, it's time for the news.
Hollow news.
Hollow news. Hollow news. Da, 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 hollow news. Da, 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 hollow. Okay, bye.
Hollow news. The news you need to know right now. As Phase 2 of the High Republic continues to roll out, news comes that the second issue of Volume 2 of the Marvel series by Kevin Scott and Ario Anedito will be coming back for a second print, bringing with an Anedito cover taken from a splash page in issue 2 featuring the infamous Twinkle Sisters. The High Republic Balance of the Force, Chapter 2, Tay Sirik. Death strikes on Jeddah. Jedi Knight Vildar Mack came searching for answers on the Pilgrim Moon, only to find a world divided. As arguments between Force believers rage in the street, Vildar and young Padawan Mathia Cathly investigate the disappearance of a piece of religious art in a near-forgotten shrine. But a mysterious figure lies in wait for them, a figure who claims to have knowledge of ancient rituals long forbidden by the Jedi. Haunted by the horrors of his past, Vildar Mack moves to apprehend the dark sider, only to fall victim to his arcane powers. This second printing will release in April 1st of 2023, and it's got to be good if it's going to second print, so check it out. Star Wars Squadron is due to be released for free next week, courtesy of Epic Games. The Epic Games Store library is set to allow all users to grab the 2020 game for free for 7 days, starting next Thursday, November 24th, as part of its weekly freebies. Evil Dead the Game and Darkly Deity are available to play for free until Squadrons takes over. So sign up for Epic Games and get those free games now. And finally, Star Wars Convergence finally hits shelves next week. This is part of the High Republic, I believe. Before what then is up, there's an opportunity to attend a special launch event and jump in a day earlier. Next Monday, November 21st, Barnes & Noble at Union Square in New York City will host authors Zoraida Cordova and Alexa Segura, who wrote Poe Dameron and Freefall, for a conversation about the book. Afterwards, attendees will be able to have their copies signed by Cordova. The event, like I said before, will take place at the Barnes & Noble location in Union Square at 7 p.m. Eastern on November 21st, and tickets can be purchased right now at Barnes & Noble's site. So if you're in New York, go check it out, because if you like the High Republic or Star Wars in general, it's always cool to just sit and chatting about Star Wars. And this has been your Holo News.
The High Republic strikes again.
Yeah, man.
Is it Wednesday yet? Is it Wednesday yet? The waiting is driving mad, says John. Like, you're not alone. You're not alone. But then here's the thing: is we're gonna get to Wednesday and be all happy and watch it, and then we're done.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh man. It's been a fun ride though. I am glad that January 4th, 2023, Brock. Bad Batch season 2.
There we go.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad we got those first 3 episodes together. But yeah, I'm also like, dang, it's gonna be over soon. Like, son of a gun. But we have the Santa Clauses to fall back on, so we have that going to the front. Have you watched that yet? The Santa Claus?
No.
Me neither. I I'm going to, but we'll wait. All right, top 5, Brock. We're going. This is for you. Top 5 Wookiees, excluding Chewbacca, because I just feel like, what's the point of putting Chewbacca on it? Although, some like hipster somewhere would be like, Chewbacca didn't make my top 5 because it's like, shut up. Chewie's the best. End of discussion. We just got hate mail coming out the wazoo. All right, top 5 Wookiees. Hold on. My number 5 Wookiee is Chewie's dad from the holiday special. By the way, we're doing this because of Life Day just happened, Brock. Life Day. Did you see the thing that they posted for Life Day? They're like 7-hour music thing where it's just a Wookiee holding a orb. It was brilliant. Anyway, mine is Chewbacca's father.
I forgot to ask, is this only canon?
No, we don't take anything. Just do what you want.
I'm gonna go Zalbar, the Chewbacca, the Wookiee from Knights of the Old Republic, the Xbox game. I remember getting. Is it the first one or the second one? The first one. Yeah, that's what beautiful about that game. They knew, like, you want to be a Wookiee or have a Wookiee character follow you around, and he was pretty cool. He had a sword.
My number 4 is Tarful, because he's in Revenge of the Sith and he helps Yoda.
Yeah,
and I am all
my number 4. My number 4 is Tarful as well.
Wow! I thought it might be higher on your list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find the Life Day cartoon that they put out, but I can't find it. So I guess maybe it was only out for that day. They were, by the way, Star Wars is all in on Life Day now. Like they seem to have embraced it. Like Disney has all the plushies and like Funko, like they're all in on it. It's George Lucas is like, he's like, I'm gonna buy it back. I'm buying Star Wars back. Stop with Life Day. My number 3 is Lumpy. Speaking of Life Day, Lumpy is my number 3.
My number 3 is going to be Gunji, the young Jedi Padawan in the series of episodes where we follow a bunch of Padawans. They go to like, what's the planet that all the Kyber crystals are, where they go? It's in they go to, you know what I'm talking about. Ilum. Yeah, they go to Ilum to find their Kyber crystals, and like I think that group of Padawans you kind of follow for a hot second. Gunji, fun name. He's a tiny Chewbacca. Wookiee. Is he?
He's my number 2. Yeah, Gunji's my number 2. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I think I've made it pretty clear that I like Jedi, which I think is like, if you like Jedis now or Sith, people are like, you're not a real Star Wars fan. Real Star Wars fan don't need Jedi or Sith in their stories. Shut up. Brock, your number 2.
My number 2 is going to be, oh God, what is Chewbacca's wife's name again?
I can't remember. Mala, right.
Mala, because you already did Lumpy and Itchy, so we're going to go Mala on this one.
I'm going to go my number 1. I believe it's your number 1. My number 1, Brock, is
2,
the same as yours.
3.
Tavoka. Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great character from comic to live action, just gets it right. And I was thinking about this recently and I never told you. It's like we have a new actor that can show up to conventions and be the Wookiee.
Yeah.
You know, like that's fun. I don't know why that's fun to me. I'm like, oh.
Do you know why? Because Star Wars is fun. And we can
Yeah.
love Andor and how it's not fun, but at the end of the day, Star Wars is all about having. Well, we talk about this Thursday show with Pete when he's on, how his son loved that finale of Book of Boba Fett, right? Because like at the end of the day, Star Wars is, and for us, Andor is fun, but at the end of the day, yeah, that's what makes Star Wars Star Wars. Like Boba Fett only exists because of this obsession over an action figure because he looked cool, right? So this is what Star Wars is all about. Anyway, yeah, we both have the same number 1. Shocking, but we got to talk about Dale Ehrman's comment here before we leave, Brock. Luthen could have worked closely with the Jedi Special Ops for a while during the rise of the Empire. Clea could have been closely associated or similar to Padme's entourage. What do you think of that?
Yeah, sounds cool. I mean, I feel like if you put the term special ops in anything, there are people like, oh.
Yeah, no, it's so true. So I saw special ops like, we're talking about this.
It's there's only 1 P in ops. Tisk.
Brock's an English major.
Tisk.
I think it would be cool though if he was somehow associated with or somebody. Maybe I don't know. I would like to know more of his backstory. I think it'd be cool if he was associated with the Jedi, had some kind of connection with them. Because Mon Mothma doesn't, and I'm fine with that. But if he did, that'd be cool because it is still Star Wars. And if he's not, I'm not going to complain. But because it is Star Wars, I think they're allowed to have fun with that.
Yeah. I mean, with that Kyber crystal, it's so easy to just say, oh, he knows a Jedi and like have a backstory explaining why he has that Kyber crystal and like, oh, it makes it so much more important that he gave it away like that. So
100%. Yep. Can't wait to see where this series goes in the next week because we're there. This is our 264th episode. I'm wearing this hat because there is a blizzard hitting Buffalo. Stay safe, Buffalonians. Go to Detroit, watch a football game. Are you getting hit where you are, Brock? Because anything started there? Yeah, no, same.
It's completely avoiding our areas. So.
Oh, is it really? So you'll probably get hit the hardest.
Yeah.
That's the way the weather's gone this year. I've learned that if they say one thing, I don't know. They're like, it's going to rain all day tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, I don't have to water the garden. There's like the hottest, driest day of the year. I'm like, you sons of... Anyway, hopefully everybody stays safe. Hopefully it doesn't hit either one of us. And it's been a lot of fun, Brock. We're going to do this again on Thursday, 8:30 p.m. live.
Yeah.
I like that you froze as that. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Give us a like and a subscribe. And until next time, Brock, you were always scum.
Scum. Bags. Rebel scum. No, that's it.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.